I sent a lot of girlfriends packing because they wanted to get serious, and it was either the car or them, and I just wasn't ready to give up my racing.
When we started, nobody really helped myself and my nephew racing, so we learned the hard way, and I just don't want to do that to anybody because I like to see the kids do good or do well. I don't like them see them struggling, so I'll help anybody that asks for help.
But I guess my biggest lesson is in life and racing is that balance is the key to everything.
Corky Thomas of Fargo has been racing for over 20 years. He talks about how he first got involved in racing through Darren Engelstead.
Him and I went to high school together, and then his dad bought him a race car his senior year, and he was going to race it that spring. Well, I liked race cars, so I was right out there and started, we hung out anyway, we were best friends. And then I just kept helping him year after year, and then one year, about 3 or 4 years after he'd been racing, I said, I gotta try this. And then they had WISSOTA modifieds at that, they were kind of just new around the area. They were been around for a couple of years. And his dad thought, well, that'd be a good class to get into, because they were kind of affordable at that point. And so I bought one, and I won the feature like the 5th night I ever raced it, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since. Yeah, number 6 was, I think I was just starting racing, I was getting my hair cut, and I asked a girl, I said, yeah, I got to pick a number for my race car. Got any good ideas? And she said, number 6. And I said, that sounds like a good number. So I picked number 6. And then I drove that Matt's Super Stock, that was number 10, 10X they called it. That was 1 year, and then we switched it to 6M, which the M stood for Matt, because it was his car, so we had my number and his letter. And then I did that for a long time. And then I had a number 15 in a modified, and the only reason I did that was because everybody was coming out with number 6. There was like 8 of them. Number 6 is running around here, and I was like fed up with it, so I said 1 and 5 is 6 anyway, so we'll just be 15. And then the next year, my brother switched his number to 1 because he kind of took number 6 on, and he went back. And then I said, no, I'll get my 6 back. Actually, I went to 6T for Thomas. And then I've been that ever since. I would say when I was younger, I was more that guy to get out of my way kind of guy. But I've kind of, and Matt's gotten on me about that too, about being too nice to people, and I'll have a better car, and I won't push it in there and get them shoved out of the way. But when I was younger, I used to put my bumper on their back bumper and then get by them, and stuff like that. I did that a lot. But back then I was trying to pay for my race car too with what I won, But nowadays you can't do that anymore anyway. I mean, you got to be a little smart too, because you get a wrecked race car and you can spend a lot of money. Back then, we were racing $10,000 cars for $500 to win. You could pay your house payment at the end of the month if you won enough. And we used to do that. Yeah. Nowadays when I go to the racetrack now, I expect to spend $400. When I was younger, I expected to win $400. It's tough to be on top too, because everybody's trying to knock you down. When you go out to the racetrack on Friday night or whatever night it is, it's like going out and getting together with your family, and the more years you do it, the more it becomes that, you know. And if you miss a night, it's like missing a family dinner on Sunday, you know. It's weird, but that's the way it is. It's even though we act like we don't like each other out there, everybody gets together and everybody has a good time. I believe there's a lot of luck in racing. Really, there is. And when it's bad, it's bad. And when it's good, you got good luck. And you know, I've seen guys that draw the front row for a month straight, you know, and they're just on a roll. And then when their luck turns bad, they just can't. You know, it just goes the other way. I went to Florida my very first year with Blake Jetbig, and we only had 2 motors and 2 cars. Well, at the time, we didn't realize that how crucial jetting was on motors down there. So I actually hurt my motor with the carburetor we had on because we didn't have the right jetting, and ended up cracking the cylinder wall. So we had water going in the oil and everything, and I had a fast car, but no motor. And we would dump sealers in the motor and we tried everything to seal that cylinder up. And I'd go out and start a heat race, and I could win them heat races, but then I'd start the feature and the motor would get hot, so I'd pull in. And then one day we'd change the oil on it every day. We must have put about $1,000 worth of oil in that car that week. And then, so we were at the Friday night race, and the motor had sat for 2 days, and we had 10 cans of different kinds of sealers in that antifreeze trying to seal that crack up. And we got it going that night, and no water in the oil. I won the heat race. I started, I think they lined you straight up out of the heats that night. I started in the 2nd or 3rd row, and I drove right through the middle, went right out front, and just checked out. And I was a straightaway ahead the whole for 19 laps, and I was looking for the white flag. And they were only having 20-lap races, and I didn't know it was the big race of the week. So then no white flag. So I'm like, okay, it's got to be 25, you know. And I could see that temp gauge was starting to climb. And then I get to lap 24, and I'm still out front going, no white flag. He's got the green still going. I'm like, oh, this is a 30-lapper. So on lap 29, here comes the white flag, and my motor's, the breathers are puffing, smoke, and it's coming out the headers, and the temp gauge is wrapped around the dash. And I'm giving it all I got, and the motor's slowing down. I come around the corner, and here on the last corner, Craig Thatcher passes me for the win. And I got 2nd. But I mean, I'll tell you what, that was one of my most memorable races. I would have loved to win. And it ended up being the big race of the week and everything. And, you know, I got 2nd in it, but I had the car to beat that night, and it was my first year going down there. You know, I just didn't have a motor to race. I sent a lot of girlfriends packing because they wanted to get serious, and it was either the car or them. And I just wasn't ready to give up my racing.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Performance Auto, Valley Alignment and Repair, Dakota Engine Builders, Here is the Racing Life's question of the week.
I sent a lot of girlfriends packing because they wanted to get serious, and it was either the car or them, and I just wasn't ready to give up my racing. And I knew it. You know, they acted like it was never going to be a, you know, but I knew, you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I just don't want to make that decision. It's easier just to move on,
Yeah.
you know. And I waited.
Yeah.
And then Joe came along right at the right time in my life. I was kind of winding down a little bit, and I was ready to be a dad. And I think it made me a better dad, because when I was younger, if I would have had kids, I might have been a little selfish and, took the race car over, and I never wanted to do that. You know, I wanted to make sure I was a good father. Well, if Joe wasn't winning all the time, I'd be working on trying to make him win. Mm-hmm. You know, like he's doing really well now, but them other kids are going to catch on. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to have to step up his program. But the competition is what makes him great. And that's what, say your boy gets, all of a sudden he's whooping Joe. You know what? You can thank Joe for that, because he had to step up his program to get there. He really listens when you talk to him and you tell him we talk strategy. Mm-hmm. when he goes out. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about where he's starting and what I think he should do, and he'll go back and say, oh, well, maybe I should do this, Dad, he's 8.5 years old. And he's already on the strategy program. Most of them kids are running around playing, and they jump on that go-kart. He'll have it a lot easier than I did if he's got the talent, and I can teach him the knowledge, and we can learn to find the money somewhere. I can help him advance in his career. In 10 years, he'll be where I was after 25 years of racing. Mm-hmm. It's been a battle for me. The times have changed, and nowadays it isn't so much where you drive the car as much as it is how well does your car work. And like you go back 15 years ago, the driver won the race, because cars didn't have traction. Cars, you had to be good with the throttle, good with the brake, good with the steering wheel, because that's how you won. Nowadays, they got the back end of the car steering the car. They got the front end steering the car. They got shocks that are timing when everything's supposed to happen. It's a busy. Them chassis are real busy. And you gotta understand every corner you're making an adjustment on, and that's where the deal comes in, where you were talking about the young kid coming in, and he's got the guy that understands all this stuff, and he's tweaking that car, and he's watching that kid race, and that's where you come up with these 19-year-old guys that are setting the world on fire.
Yeah.
You take everything away from that 19-year-old and put him in that car and say, you figure it out. And I guarantee he's going to spend 15 years going up and down the racetrack trying to figure out how to make that car go.
When we started, nobody really helped myself and my nephew racing, so we learned the hard way, and I just don't want to do that to anybody, because I like to see the kids do good or do well. I don't like them seeing them struggling, so I'll help anybody that asks for help.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Dakota Cat, Peterman Seeds, Randall's Excavating. Here is this week's driver factoid.
Nick Skalicky of Fargo helped found the Red River Kart Club in 2010. But before working on go-karts, Nick spent a lot of time working on his own race car.
I started out in enduros and then went to what they called pro stocks in Glendon. And then I started racing street cars in West Fargo, and then I quit, I suppose, probably about 2001. I was usually number 3 for the most part, and not that it was ironic, but about the time Dale Earnhardt died, I had a very good friend of mine. He was actually here tonight, and his boy raced for the first time. His dad passed away, and he was always a Steve Kinzer fan, so I changed my number to 11, and I just kind of adopted that, and then I slowly, it was probably a year after that is when I quit. There was a time there, we were on a pretty hot streak, and my brother always said, you know, I'd come in, and he was pretty tough on me, and I'm kind of tough on Jesse at some point, sometimes, you know, and I'd come in and we'd win, and well, it's not a win unless you back it up. That's what he'd say. So he'd come back the next week, and that was motivation for me. Figured that's fine, let's do it, and we'd win another one, and well, that still doesn't matter, you got to do it again. And I could do 3 in a row, but that 4th one, I just, you know. But when you'd win, you know, people don't like winners, you know. And they'd boo me, and you know, I thrived on stuff like that. It's like, we'll do it again, and we'll try to get back up here again. And if they boo me, they boo me. If they don't, they don't. With my nephew, he runs Pure Stocks, and you know, he's already branded because of me. It's the same last name. Yep. And Joey's going to be the same way, Corky's boy. When he starts racing big cars, you know, Corky's got that reputation. Well, Joey's going to have it too, right along with him. When we started, nobody really helped myself and my nephew racing, so we learned the hard way, and I just don't want to do that to anybody, because I like to see the kids do good or do well. I don't like them see them struggling, so I'll help anybody that asks for help. So. My main focus is my daughter racing out here, and she runs in the open animal class. And then I help Randall Hendrickson, all his kids, and then Brian Peterman's boy. And then, like I said, anybody else that asks me for advice or whatever. The relation from big cars to go-karts, there's really not a lot of similarities because everything's a little bit different, but you can teach them etiquette when they're on the track. You know, not to run into the guy in front of them if they can help it, or stop and go and watch the flags, and you know, stuff like that. But the driving ability, the go-karts are totally different than any big car that anybody's been in. You gotta get rid of the big car mentality if you've been around that, because go-karts are totally different. I never dreamt it'd be as big as it is in 1 year. You know, we went on a whim with 10, 12 of us, do it ourselves, and it just, you know, kept growing and kept growing.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Norman County Raceway, Nugget Vending, 295websites.com, Red River Kart Club. Here are the Racing Life's fan pictures of the week.
How many nights do you work on your car? Hey Dillon, this is Jason Strand. I see you got a question here. How many nights a week do I work on the car? It all depends on, I'll give you a typical week. I race 3 nights a week. I race Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. I work on the car either Sunday or Monday to get it ready for Wednesday night. Race Wednesday night, get the car ready Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, get it ready to go for Friday, and then I go racing Friday night, and then get it ready Saturday morning to go race Saturday, and then I start the process all over again. So I'm about 5 nights a week we work on the car.
The biggest thing I like, or I try to instill, is you might not win on the track, or you might not like what that kid did to you, but you can still be friends with them. As they get older, then I guess it's up to them, but when they're still at this young age, you gotta, try to keep them corralled the best you can. And it seems like everybody's getting along. There's no major discrepancies, so makes me happy. Like go-karts, for example, until you've been out there, I've driven them a couple times myself, and I won't criticize the kids, because I'll guarantee you that I couldn't beat 90% of these kids out there, even if they're 7, 8 years old. How they do it, I still don't know. And when they do it, it makes you pretty proud. So people but people that do that, I think they're mainly jealous. It's just hard to. That's not a sport, this ain't a sport. You can't talk like that, And go-karts, we've seen it on the 90-some degree days, and kids are wringing wet when they come in, And some kids couldn't even do it,
It's a workout.
It's a lot more workout than what a guy thinks it is. I never dreamt it'd be as big as it is in 1 year. We went on a whim with 10, 12 of us, do it ourselves, and it just, kept growing and kept growing, and it gets overwhelming at times, but I deal with it. I can be the lead guy, that's fine, whatever, but it's not just me. There's a lot of people that do everything. And that's what a club is all about. When the kids come in and you see a smile on your face, some kids aren't smiling because it didn't go so well, but the majority of them, they appreciate it more than they'll ever tell you. And I know, that they're happy. Like tonight, when they all got these trophies, I was just smiling ear to ear when they were taking them things home.
Do you think I need to get my hair done or what?
The adjustments.
Oh.
That's okay. Do you
Want me to go grab it or what?
You can if you want.
I don't know, I just want to shut it off anyway.
Yep.
And that's just the way it goes. Should I grab that?
Yep.